everyone. Welcome to the Healing Train. I am your conductor, B.Von Squires, and today we are sponsored by Spirit Source Connection. At Spirit Source Connection, we believe that we are multidimensional, energetic beings, that we have a mind, a body, and a soul, and that we must address all of these components of who we are in order to have an overall healing for our lives, right? Okay, and so the reason we're here today is because it's the Healing Train, where ordinary people come to talk about their extraordinary stories. We want to know what the trauma was like that led to the triumph. We want to know about those struggles that led to the success. But what we do know is that everyone's trauma journey is going to be different. There's going to be ups and downs, twists and turns along the way. And so today, the passenger that we have for you, Mr. Launda Bolden, is going to come on and he's going to share his trauma healing journey with us today. And so with that, Mr. Launda Bolden, would you please come on and say hello to our community?
Yes, I will. I'll be more than honored to. Hello, everyone. My name is Launda. I'm Bolden. I'm so grateful to be here. Just happy to be here to share with y'all today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we do know that everybody, like I said, everybody's journey is different. And trauma comes in so many different sizes, colors, shapes, and forms, depending on the individual. Now, I know your story because we are friends. Leonda and I are dear friends. And I didn't know anyone who had his story. And I thought, you know what? That would be so perfect for the Healing Train because there's someone out there who is healing their life from a terminal illness who don't even know what is possible for their lives. And so Leonda is going to come on today and talk to you about his story and how he was able to identify this particular trauma in his life. But before we do that, let me let you know how this is going to go. As you know, I wrote a book. It's called the Energy Harvest. It is a 4-phase trauma healing process that starts with identifying the trauma, and then it goes on to the mindset that we have to adapt in order to heal the trauma. And then we go on further to look at what is possible for us to achieve after we've healed the trauma. And then how in the world, Mr. Bolden, do you sustain all of that positive energy and all of that wonderful success that you have achieved up to this point? And so that's how it's going to work. And with that, no further ado, we're going to go right on in and allow Leonda to tell us about his trauma, how he was able to identify that. So go right ahead and tell us, Leonda.
Well, Benita and everyone, you know, my situation's a little, I don't know if it's different because I haven't really spoken to a lot of people who were in my situation, but you know, I'm not one of those people who really experienced a lot of trauma, or at least I didn't identify with things that went on in my life as being trauma. You know, I never really thought about it in that way. And it's almost like, you know, you don't think something will happen to you until it happens to you, you know.
Ooh, mm-hmm.
You know, I'll take you back to 2017. You know, I was one of those, the typical male who didn't really like to go to the doctor very much. You know, I felt like whatever ailment I was having, whatever sniffle I had, whatever headache I had, you know, would go away on its own because, you know, it always did. You know, there was nothing that I really ever needed to go to the doctor for.
Okay.
And so this was no different, 2017. You know, I had started experiencing some symptoms that I hadn't felt before. Like I started getting like cold chills really bad, just out of nowhere. This kind of happened at a time in my life that I was unemployed. So I was driving Uber, and I remember driving Uber, and I had a passenger, and this guy decided to sit in the front seat. You know, typically Uber passengers sit in the back seat. And I remember I had the cold chills so bad that my whole body was shaking, it was shivering, to the fact that I couldn't hide the fact that I was shivering. And I had this passenger right next to me in my car, and it almost seemed like it looked like I was having a seizure because I couldn't stop my body from shivering so much that I was so cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I started praying. I was like, God, please let me just get this passion where it's going so I can pull over. Please, that was my prayer. I just kept praying that and praying that and praying that. And so, thankfully I got the passenger where he was going. I dropped him off and I immediately went around the corner and just kind of chilled out.
Mm-hmm.
Pray God, I don't know what's going at least make it home, at least make it home. And so, I made it home. Um, and we always think that Google is our doctor. And so I looked
Dr.
up the
Google.
yeah, Dr. Google. So I looked up the symptoms on Google and it said that I was probably having a fever, running a fever, and so I took some Tylenol and laid down for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and not to me, I mean, all my symptoms went away.
Okay.
I was fine like 2 hours later. And so I got back up and started driving Uber again.
Mm-hmm.
Well then I started having more symptoms. Like I remember I would like try to eat my food, and my throat would just hurt so bad. Like it was like uh I would swallow food and it's like my whole chest was just burning on fire.
Ooh.
And this was every time I ate, but still I'm like, it'll go away on its own. I'm not going to the doctor. Uh well, it kept happening and kept
Mm-hmm.
happening. It got so bad to the point to um where I could barely eat without being, it was a torture to eat. It was torture to eat anything, to drink anything. I'm one of those people, I love every single thing ice cold. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And drinking something ice cold was torture. Drinking something hot was torture. And so
Wow.
finally I went to the hospital. Finally I gave and I went to the hospital. I went to one hospital and they said, oh well, it's acid reflux. So they gave me, some acid reflux medication, and so I leave. I take the acid reflux medication, and weeks go by, and you know how like sometimes like you go to the hospital, and I don't know if just something in our psyche about being in the hospital, like things get better,
Sure.
or they seem like they get better,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what happened. Uh, but about 2 weeks later, the all the symptoms start coming back again.
Okay.
And this time it was worse,
Ooh.
like my chest and my throat was just on fire every time I ate. But I'm like, well, you know what? I've already been to the doctor. I'll just keep taking this acid reflux medicine. I don't need to go back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep taking this medicine. It'll go away.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't going away. And so finally, about 3 weeks later, I went back to that same hospital.
Oh my
And
gosh.
once again, they said, "Oh, it's acid reflux." And they prescribed me more acid reflux medicine. They told me I needed to watch what I eat. Don't eat this. Don't eat that. Don't eat that. But I can
Mm-hmm.
eat this, this, and this. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I did. Because by this time I was tired of being in pain. I was
Sure.
tired of being miserable. I was tired of torturing myself just from simply eating or drinking something.
Mm.
Um, so this time, leaving the hospital didn't get better. You know, I went through 4 more weeks of suffering. Um, and now, mind you, I'd already been to the hospital twice. And I remember I was talking on the phone to my sister, and she's like, you need to go to a different hospital. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not. I'm like, I've been to the hospital twice. I got the medicine. It's going to go away. It's going to go away eventually. And
Yes.
she said, Leonde, look, she said, if you don't go to the hospital, to the different hospital, I'm going to come over to your house. I'm going to act a plumb fool until you come out that house and we go to the hospital. And if you
Okay.
know my sister, you know that she was dead serious. Like that's something that she would do. She would come over to my house and act a plumb fool in my apartment building until I came out and went to the hospital. So to avoid all of that and to make her happy,
Yes.
I went to a different hospital.
Okay.
Um, and I'm really not good at making a long story short. So
Tell your story.
uh so I go to this hospital, and immediately they start doing 55 different things that the last hospital didn't do. I
Ooh.
mean, immediately, like they just start doing stuff, pulling blood, doing this, doing that, checking this, checking that. They was doing everything. And then probably about an hour later, 2 hours later, um, the doctor or the PA physician assistant came and heard her look on her face was different than when she left. You know,
Mm.
she was pale, and her eyes was this big, and she said, "Do you have any blood issues?" And actually she asked, she said, "Have you been exposed to HIV?" And I'm like, "No." Like, what kind of question is that?
I know,
She
right?
said, she said, well, she said, because your white blood cells. I said, what about them? She said, well, you got this many white blood cells, but only this many of them are working.
Whoa.
And I was like, huh? And so then in my mind, I'm like, well, what? I mean, like, I'm like, have I been exposed to HIV? I'm like, what the, like, like, what? Oh my God. You know, I'm trying going through my phone to see who would, like, somebody got me. Like, you know, I'm thinking that. And and she said, well, she said, we need to refer you to a blood doctor. Okay. We need to refer, we need you to go see a blood doctor. And I was like, okay, you know, I go to a blood doctor. Um, so they made the appointment, and I went, my appointment was, I forget what day, it was like on a Wednesday or something.
Oh,
Um, and as I'm going up to the blood doctor, to the doctor's office, on the door, I'll never ever forget this in my life. On the
okay.
door, it said hematology and oncology, and I was like, oncology? What? Ooh, Lord, excuse me. I was like, oncology. She said a blood doctor. You know, I didn't know that the two go together, but you know, she said a blood. I know what oncology means. Like, why in the what? Why am I here? Like, this is I'm supposed to be a blood doctor. And
Wow.
so I go in, uh, and I meet the doctor for the first time, and like we to run this test, this test, this test, and this test, and the one test I wouldn't let him run because I was scared was an HIV test. I
Okay.
wouldn't, you know. Um, and he was like, "No, we need." He said, "We need to know everything. We need to find out everything." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not. You know, I'm not ready for that. You know, I'm not." And he said, well, at least let's do it another way. Let me start ruling out stuff.
Okay.
He said, I need to send you for a bone marrow biopsy. Now I
Wow.
knew what a biopsy was, and so here I am again, dumbfounded. Like, what the f? Are you crazy? I don't need no damn biopsy. I don't need no bone marrow. I don't. You're crazy. No, no. Now, mind you, this whole time I'm still in pain. You know, now my throat has is gotten to the point to where it's just sore all the time, like
Yes.
even when I'm not eating.
Hmm.
Um, he said, Mr. Bolden, we need to rule everything out. You won't let me do it this way. Let's at least just ruin it. Let's just rule everything out. And so he had scheduled my biopsy for 2 days later. It was a Friday. I'll never forget it in my whole entire life. Friday, January 26th, because it
Wow.
started in 2017 and it carried over to 2018. So this is
Okay.
26, 2018, Friday morning. Um, and I was like this close to not going to this biopsy because for one, I didn't think I needed it. Two, I had to be there at like 6:30 in the damn morning. I mean, who wakes up that early when I mean, you know,
Yes.
and something told me to just get up and go. I don't
Okay.
even know what it was. I mean,
Okay.
something just said, just get up and go. And so I get up, I go, they go through the procedure. And I told you my throat was all jacked up. So after the procedure, I go into the emergency room and they give me like steroids and stuff to make my throat feel better. Um, and I left that emergency room feeling better than I felt in 2 months. I
Okay.
did. They finally got to the bottom of it. Out, I'm healed, you know, praise the Lord.
Yes.
After
Right.
all this
Mhm.
time, you know, I had not felt this good in 2 months.
Right.
And this is Friday. And you know, every Friday at that time, you know, all my life is routine based. I have all these routines, and every Friday, you know, was my Friday to go to Walmart to go grocery shopping.
Sure.
Every Friday. Um, And it was about 5:30 p.m. and I was driving to Walmart, and I get this phone call, and the person says, "Can I speak to Launda?" You know, because people have a hard time pronouncing my name. So in my mind, if they don't know how to pronounce my name, it's somebody I don't know.
Right.
So it's a bill collector or something. And I'm like, I said, well, no, I said, she's not here. Because they think I said, I said, she is not here. Can I take a message? And then he said, well, no, 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 no. He said, Mr. Bolden, this is Dr. Reddy. Um, and he said, we got the preliminary results from your biopsy back, and you have a blood cancer called leukemia.
Oh my gosh. What?
And I was like, what? He said, no, I don't think you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Bolden. He said, this can be much more serious if you don't stop what you're doing and head to the emergency room right now. He said, I've already called them. They're waiting on you. You need to get there right now. You don't understand the magnitude of this.
Wow.
And I'm still like, it's still not even registering in my mind, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, huh? He's like, Mr. Bolden. He said, I'm in San Francisco. He was in San Francisco for a conference. Um, he said, but I will be there first thing Monday morning. But you need to go now. Please. I'm asking you, please. And I said, okay. I hung up the phone with them, but it's Friday, right? And every Friday I go to Walmart
Oh,
to go grocery
yes.
shopping, and I'm already driving to Walmart to go grocery shopping. What do you mean? I'm going to Walmart to go
Get my
grocery
groceries.
shopping. He also told me, I forgot this part. He told me that I didn't have an immune system at all. My immune system was totally gone.
Oh my
He
goodness.
said that the state that I was in at that point when we were on the phone call, that that a simple cold could kill me.
Wow, Leonde.
He said a bug bite could kill me. He said I had zero immune system. And still, look, it's Friday. I'm already driving to Walmart. I get it. I got to get my groceries every Friday because that's what I do. And so I continue on the Walmart, and I'm just replaying the conversation in my head, but I'm still in disbelief, and I'm
Sure.
not really understanding. I'm not comprehending. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I just know that I got to get my damn groceries because if I go to the hospital, I'm gonna need something to eat when I get out, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in Walmart grocery shopping, and then it hit me what that man just said to me.
Wow.
And you know how like when you go like to the in the grocery stores, they have like the swinging doors where it's employee only area.
Yeah.
So I went behind one of those doors and I just broke down crying and fell to the ground.
Oh,
Um, and I
wow.
kind of got myself together, drive my as much as I could, of course. I mean, I couldn't drive too much, and I did finish my grocery shopping. I did. I was determined to finish my grocery shopping. And I go home and I called my mom and called my sister on three-way, and I said, the doctor just called me and I got leukemia.
Wow.
And I'll never forget it. Broke
How
down
did that
crying.
feel? I mean, what was that feeling? Like that trauma, like that, the feeling. How did you feel in that moment? Do you remember the feeling? Can you articulate that feeling?
I felt so I had so many feelings.
Yes.
So for when I was scared, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, I was just told that I had cancer, right?
Yes. All along you thought it was acid reflux, and now you find out it's cancer.
It's
Huge
cancer.
difference. Huge.
Huge difference.
Hmm.
Um, I was scared
Yeah.
because, when you think of cancer, you think of death,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
you think
Hmm.
of people dying. Um, I was mad. I was angry because, and I was almost angry at God because I'm like, how's this going on in my body, right? And I have no clue.
Wow.
Like, this is going on. This destruction. This is freaking havoc in my body. It's in my bloodstream. So it's
And
through
it's
every part of my body, every
wow.
part. And I
And
don't
it's
even know
been
what's
going
going
on for a
on.
while.
And it's been going on for, yes, for a while.
Wow.
I'm like, and I'm like, God, how can you let this happen? And I
Mm.
don't even know about it. Like, I don't even know that I don't even know that it's, and so I was a very, very heavy cigarette smoker at the time. And
Okay.
so I thought that if I had caught cancer, it
It
was
would
going to
be
be
lung
lung
cancer.
cancer. I thought I had about maybe 15, 20 more years to go, so I still had time to quit or whatever. It wasn't
Wow.
going to be this, I was 40 at the time, uh, and uh, I was scared. I was angry. I was hurt. Um, it was like you almost go back to that stage where you're a little boy again,
Tell me
you
about
know,
it. Hmm.
um, little boy where you think, your mom can save you from everything, you
Yes.
know,
Hmm.
um, but at the same time, you feel you're helpless. You're totally dependent on someone else, something else.
Mm.
Um, you no longer have control, you know,
Wow.
um, you don't know what's going on, you know,
Or what's going to happen. Wow.
you don't know what's going to happen. Um,
Wow, Leonde, thank you so much for your vulnerability and your authenticity in telling your story. There's somebody out there who's identifying with you right now. There's somebody out there who has found out that they too have a terminal illness and they are scared and they are feeling vulnerable and they're feeling helpless and maybe even hopeless. And you telling your story today is helping that person as we move on. But thank you so much for setting the stage for that identification so that anybody who is going through any kind of trauma right now, you are letting them know that yes, you will feel these feelings of helplessness. Yes, you will feel these feelings of fright. Yes, you will feel like that inner child has come to life again and that you're no longer an adult, that you're now relying on your mom and the doctors and everyone else. You're no longer in control of your own destiny at this moment. And that in itself is so traumatic. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And so as we move through to the next phase, it's talking about the mindset. You said you were angry, and that you were almost angry at God. And so what did you do with that anger? How did you wrap your mind around all of this and what it was going to entail? How were you able to wrap your mind around it?
so to be honest with you, at first I couldn't. I'm just going
Right.
to tell you, at first, I mean, at first, Benita, I couldn't. Okay. When I got into the hospital, um, uh, they immediately quarantined me, right? And anyone who came in to see me, including nurses, they had to be dressed up in full
And
gear, protective gear from head to toe. And it's not because I had something that could get on them. It's because any little thing they had that got on me, I
to
was
kill.
gone. That was it.
Wow.
And so, like, my mom, when she came, like, they had to be in full gear, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? And uh, I think I started to at some point, you know, really look at the situation for what it was, kind of, right?
Okay.
Um, you know, um, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get better, but I didn't really understand the seriousness of it either because I just wanted to. I was in this hospital, they gave me some medicine, they had quarantined me off, and they moved me from the emergency room up to the cancer floor. Um, that journey was
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. Yes, it's okay. Yes, this is so powerful. Wow, Leonde, thank you so much for your authenticity and just being so vulnerable with us today. We sure do appreciate your tenderness, and I can just feel the emotions that you were going through at that time. And so, how long did you stay in the hospital?
So, I ended up being in the hospital for 28 straight days.
Wow.
I thought I was going to be in there overnight or for 2 days. I ended up being there for 28 straight days.
Okay. And so after being in the hospital, okay, guys, for those of you who aren't aware, Leonde Bolden here is telling us about his traumatic story where he found out one day that he had leukemia. After thinking he had acid reflux, he finds out he has leukemia. And so now we're going to move into the next phase, which is the mindset. Leonde, please tell us, what was your mindset like? How were you able to transition from, oh my God, to, okay, I think I can do this? What was that transition like for you after those 28 days in the hospital? They tell you what? When you leave here, your life is going to be like what? What did they say? What were your discharge instructions, if you will? And what was that process like?
So before I get to the mindset part, I have to tell you this because this shaped my mindset.
Okay.
So I had to go through very intense chemotherapy treatments in the hospital, 7 straight days of chemotherapy. And so I went through my 7 straight days of chemotherapy, and
Wow.
and I had to go through another bone marrow biopsy to see if they had gotten the leukemia. Um, and the first time they didn't get it. He
Oh,
said we
wow.
didn't get it. He said we didn't get it. Um, and he was like, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we didn't get it. Uh, so he had consulted with another doctor in Houston, and he had said to give me more chemo, but not as much. I just needed just about 2 more days worth, and then to do nothing after that. Let the chemo run through my body and do its job for 7 days. And so that's what happened. And I went through another bone marrow biopsy, the third one, and this time he said, "I think we got it." And when he said that, that's when my mindset began to change. Right.
Okay. Mhm.
I wasn't able to leave the hospital just then. I had to stay for like another couple more weeks. Um, but he when I was leaving, he told me that I would have to come back to the hospital once a month for a week at a time. To get chemo for a week at a time, once a month. I wasn't going to be able to work. My body was going to be beat down. Uh, but at that point, um, I felt like I was not going to die. Like I remember, I remember that I serve a God, a good God, right?
Yes.
Um, and I know that faith in God changes things, and prayer
Yes.
changes things.
Hmm.
And of course, I had to do some stuff. I had to change the way I ate. Because I mean, up until that point, I was eating. I was like 220 pounds, and I was 5'4", so I ate whatever I wanted, like cookies, hot dogs. Hot dogs were my favorite. I probably drank, now on top of smoking 2 and 3 packs of cigarettes a day. I drank about 8 cans of soda every day. You
Wow.
know,
Okay.
um, my meals were, although I went to the grocery store every Friday, I still ate out every day. You know, just unhealthy. And so I had to change all of that. You know,
Sure.
um, in order to kind of speed the healing along. I had adopted an alkaline diet.
Yeah.
Was eating alkaline foods, um, juicing every day. Um, of course, no sodas. I quit smoking in the process.
Yay.
Actually, in that 28 days I was in the hospital, I quit smoking cigarettes, because I didn't want anything that could cause cancer to be a part of my deal. Um, I had to, I never was in the exercise. I started exercising
Okay.
when I could, when I had the energy, because mind you, chemo takes your energy away, and I was still going through treatments once a month. So it usually would take about a week after treatments for me to get my strength back, and I would exercise, and my mindset was just a mindset of determination, you know,
Okay.
um, because I wasn't in the clear yet, you know, I wasn't in the clear. As a matter of fact, I was still very much in danger. Um, but it turned from despair and fear to faith and hope and courage and determination.
Wow, how powerful is that?
Like I knew that I felt I never like I never felt like I was going to die, you know, um, and I was determined to not let my mind go back down that black hole, which is deservedly so. I mean, I went through this traumatic experience, but
Yes.
I knew that with the right mindset,
Mhm.
um, I could begin the healing process.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I focused on, Manita. That's what I focused on.
Absolutely.
Um, Now, of course, the once a month, now I go back to the hospital and get the chemo. I couldn't help but to be reminded, right? I mean, it's the reality was still there, you
Sure.
know. Um, but I let those reminders propel me forward, right?
I love
You know,
it. I love it.
um,
Yes.
um, I guess, the best thing that I could say is that, as I said, this cancer is not going to beat me. It's not.
I love that, Launda. That determination and that courage you talked about and the faith and being able to one day at a time change the way you were looking at the situation is, I think, what gave you what you needed to be um positive, looking forward. Even though you had those reminders every time you went for chemo, you were reminded you're fighting cancer, but then at some point you stopped going to those treatments and you didn't have to go anymore. Do you still, you actually achieved remission at some point, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And so, after adopting that mindset, that gave you the positive energy that you needed, and that you were feeding your body and your cells all the positive energy, plus you're eating alkaline foods and you're doing all the right things. You cut out that negative thought process, you cut out all of that negative food that you were eating, all that unhealthy food. You adopted such a new, clean way of thinking and feeling and eating. Wow, that's remarkable. That is really remarkable. That shows how much you love yourself, how much you love life. And you're like, oh no, I'm not going out like this. This is not going to be the end of me. And I'm just so happy, that even I was there, during this time to give you phone calls and text messages and just, support you through all of this because I love you. And it affected me to see you going through this as well. And so, once you came out of it, I was excited. We were all excited, about your healing and how you have gone on to thrive as a result of doing all of the right things, making all of the right changes. My goodness, you quit smoking cigarettes in 28 days. That right there, it took me at least 5 times to try to stop smoking before I was ever able to stop smoking. And then I remember that same thought process. Oh, I got time to quit. Oh, I got time before I get cancer. I'll just stop, when I'm 30, which I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But that thought process, like we can control everything, like we just think we're larger than life. And it takes something like this to humble us, to help us see that no, we're not larger than life and anything can happen to us, but with the right tools and the right support system and the determination and courage that you have, you're showing us that we can beat whatever life throws our way. And this is such a beautiful story. And so tell us more about the achieving part. of your process? How were you able to achieve the success? What did it feel like when you went back to the doctor and they were able to say, well, Mr. Bolden, we got some great news for you? Tell us about that. What was that like?
So, recovery from leukemia is a very, very long process. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Not that you go one day and boom, they
Okay.
say you're all better.
Okay.
I had once I achieved remission, it was my doctor's mission to keep me in remission, because leukemia is one of those cancers that comes back very easily. Uh,
Oh.
uh, but I remember when he finally said that I could ring the bell, because there's a bell that you ring, once you have beat it, once you're fully in remission. And I remember one appointment's like, well, no, not ringing the bell yet. Sorry. Well, no, not yet. Can't ring the bell just yet. And I'm like, why can't I ring this damn bell? I want to ring this bell. You could like I always want to cuss him out. Like, look, I'm ringing the MF bell. And then one day, Lord, Jesus, I'll just let me ring the bell. So one day he said, well, it's time to ring the bell.
Oh my goodness.
And, uh, and when I finally got to the bell, it was like triumph, um, triumph, because I'm skipping over the times where all the times I had to be readmitted into the hospital during the recovery process.
Oh, wow.
All the stuff I went through, just getting to the point to be able to, with all the scares we went through. I mean, I was readmitted to the hospital. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but at least 6 times.
What?
You know? With some serious scares, and so I'm skipping over all of that.
I don't want you to skip over all of that. I want you to tell us about that. What was that like? What did you do? Like wake up in the middle of the night and say, "Oh my God, I got to go to the hospital." Like what was that like?
So whenever I ran a fever, I would have to go to the hospital.
Uh,
Whenever this happened or that happened, I would have to go to the hospital. And now, mind you, I spent 28 days in the hospital. So the
right,
last thing I had to go to the hospital once a month for a week at a time. And so
right.
the last thing I wanted to do was go to the damn hospital. Okay. So my mom had came all the way from Florida, drove, in her 60s by herself and her 2 cats.
Oh, bless her.
She was living with me, and if she wasn't living with me, I don't know that I would have went to the hospital at times where I ran fever. There was one time when they put me in intensive care, and I felt fine. I'm like, why am I in intensive care? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not running the fever no more. I'm ready to go home. And the doctor said, he said, well, he said, your kidney looks like a raisin right now, and I'm trying to keep you off dialysis for the rest of your life.
Wow.
Well, I guess I'll need to go home right now then. I guess I'm okay right now. I had went to Sprint store to get the new phone. I think it was the like the Samsung. I forget which one it was, but it was just coming out that day. And I just got to get the new phone when it's just coming out. And I'm in the Sprint store getting this phone, and all of a sudden, I just faint and pass out right there. I'm standing at the counter. I just hit the floor. I've never fainted before, ever, until that moment.
Wow.
Um, and so they rushed me to the hospital, because I'm having complications, from cancer.
Wow.
The only time I've ever had a seizure, I was actually in the hospital. And all of a sudden I had a seizure. And when I woke up from the seizure, like I'm alert, but and my eyes are open, but I can't see, right? Like I'm blind. And I'm like, why can't I see?
Wow.
Why can't I see? Like what? And I remember crying to my mom. I was like, Mother, I don't deserve this. I didn't do anything to deserve this. Like it was, because you imagine you wake and you cannot see, and you've been able to see all your life.
Wow.
I went through all of that. So when I tell you that I was ready to ring that bell, I was ready to ring the bell. And so I finally got to ring the bell, and kind of, and ringing that bell did so much for me, right? Because it was more than just ringing the bell. That was a symbol of my determination from that point, because I knew, I'm like, well, I went through this for a reason, right? I don't know what the reason is, but more importantly, I'm still here for a reason, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
what that bell said, you know. Um, so I got to do some stuff different. I got to take full advantage of this new chance at life,
Okay.
because I'm in this hospital, and I was in the hospital a lot. I just told you how I was in the hospital a lot, and people next to me was dying. People across the hall was dying. People down the hall was dying. The medical assistants come in. Oh, my favorite patient died today. And I'm like, I thought I was your favorite patient, but people was around me dying, but I didn't, right? You know.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
that bell was the symbol of a new life for me, right?
Absolutely. A new lease
You,
on life.
a new lease on life. It was time for me to get busy, right?
Okay.
And
Tell us about that. What have you achieved since you rang that bell? I want to know what life has been like since you decided from here on out, I am living my life to the fullest. What has your life been like since then?
so, so I couldn't work for a year and a half, right? Going through this was a whole year and a half I couldn't work. And by God's grace and mercy, God is so good. God
Yes.
is so good,
Yes.
because for that year and a half, you sure couldn't tell that I didn't work for a year and a half. I
Oh,
almost lived better not working than I did while I was working.
oh
Okay, and
wow.
that's the truth. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
miss a beat, right? But when I was ready to go back to work, I'd already kind of I decided, right, that uh, my grandmother, God bless her heart, she just passed away, a couple months ago.
Oh.
But she used to always say to me, she's like, "Why don't you finish your degree? Go back to college." She's, "Launda, you're too smart to not have a degree." And I'm like, "Yo, Grandma, ain't nobody, Grandma, sit your behind down. Ain't nobody doing that. Sit down. Ain't nobody doing that." And so I said, so ringing that bell made me think, well, you know what? Maybe I do need to get this degree. Why not? I got a new chance to do stuff totally different, right? To do things over. Maybe I need to get this degree. And so I immediately started preparing myself, doing what I had to do to go back to college. So when I was in college before, I had all F's. I had 3 semesters where I got nothing but F's.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to go back to the same college where I got all these F's at. And they're like,
No.
you like, no, no, you know. And I'm like, no, I'm like, look, whatever I need to do, just tell me, what do I need to do to get back in college. I did not want to go to, I don't have anything against no other college, but I wanted to go to a reputable university, right?
Of course.
Um, uh, I wanted to go to a university that's recognized, across the country. Um, I want to go back to the university that I went to in the first place.
Hmm.
And they said, well, Mr. Bolden, if you do this, 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 then we'll talk about it. So I did this, 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 and we talked about it. Okay, well, now I need to do this, 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 and this. So I did this, 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 and this. And I owed them an ungodly amount of money, right, to the actual school itself, because, back then you get loans from the school and then pay them back. And so I worked to pay that back, even though I wasn't working, right? And
Wow.
finally, they let me back in school. Finally. Um, and my major was accounting way 20 years before. Um, and the first 2 years I was in school, I did pretty well. And by some miracle of God, they let me keep all of my credits from like 22, 23 years ago, right? I
Wow.
couldn't. I know, like, what? I couldn't believe it. So 2019, I get back in. I get back in school, and so I start looking for jobs, right? And and I'd always worked in restaurants, fast food, right? That's what I did. That was my jam. That's what I did. But man, I didn't want to work in fast food no more, nor do I want to work in a restaurant anymore. But every time I would apply, every job I would apply for, once you're in food, people think that's all you can do is food, right?
Yes.
Um, I was applying for jobs in every other sector but food. Um, and somehow where I work at now, they found me, right? I wasn't looking for them. They found me. And I still wasn't gonna work for them, but I had prayed. I had the pastor pray for me in church the Sunday before. They called me. I'm like, I need a job. Please pray that. And he prayed a strong prayer that I find a job. And the next day they called me.
Wow.
So I'd already started put the motions together to go back to school. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do both. Work full time, go back. I'm not going to give up this. I'm going to go to school. And so I worked full time, very, very demanding job. Went to school full time because I knew that if I went part time, I wouldn't finish.
Right.
So I did that, and in 2022, in May, I graduated with my bachelor's degree.
Okay. Bachelor's
From in accounting.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Accounting, well, accounting and real estate.
Okay.
And so with cancer, like it's remission. And after 5 years of remission, that's when you're considered medically cured, right?
Okay.
So mind you, I was diagnosed in 2018, so the early part of 2023, January, actually, on the anniversary of my original diagnosis, I went so they could check all my blood work and stuff. And for the first time, there were some issues. The blood work wasn't right. And this is on the anniversary of my diagnosis. And this is the day that I'm supposed to be medically cured from cancer. And, of course, when they were like, well, this isn't right. Of course, I'm in my mind, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And everything from 5 years ago started. And so I broke down in the doctor's office. And they're like, just chill out. We're going to bring you back in 30 days, right? We're just going to see. We're not going to give you no medicine, nothing. We're just going to see, what it looks like in 30 days. And so I went back in 30 days, and in February, I was medically cured of cancer. Yes. And
that's a great story. Yay!
This is just 8 months ago. So this journey started in 2017, and now I'm finally medically cured for cancer. Wow. So I graduated in 2022 with my bachelor's. And that opened up just so many avenues, just opened up a whole different world. I didn't know which way to go, this way, that way, this way, that way. But through that, I got involved with the program called Diversity and Leadership. And this was in January. That program is designed to get people of color into C-suite positions, so we can get so far, right? Well, through that program, now I got my bachelor's in May, right? And I was good. Grandma said, go back, go get your degree. I got my degree. I was good. If I was going to go back to school for a master's or anything, it was going to be 5 years or 6 years. I was going to go to maybe Howard or go somewhere in New York or somewhere, somewhere in Atlanta. But this is going to be 5 or 6 years down the road. But really, I'm cool. Like, I just got done with school. I got to I'm cool. But an opportunity came up through this diversity and leadership program for me I visit some campuses, around Indiana, still not on the school. And then all of a sudden through that, I started being pursued by a pretty prestigious university here in Indiana.
Wow.
Very prestigious university. And they were relentless. I'm just going to tell you, like, they was calling, emailing 3 times a day, 3 times a week. Like, and so here we are. This is October. They were pursuing me for their executive MBA program. Now, mind you, the program started in August. Okay. The deadline to apply was like June. I had missed that because that wasn't even something I was going to do.
Right.
They extended the deadline to me. to like July 8th or something.
Wow.
So let me at least just apply, right?
Mhm.
But even then, it was July 8th, and I turned in my application July 9th. And I'll be darned if they didn't accept me to the EMBA program at Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame.
What?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
God is good. This is $180,000 degree, right?
Wow.
Um, and 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 I'm in class with people with vice presidents of major corporations and
Oh,
CEOs and CFOs, and that's who's in my class. I have a former WNBA basketball player, and she was the vice president of the Patients Organization. That's who I'm in class with now.
wow. How impressive.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
That
that's
is a great achievement. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. And so, Leonde, listening to your story is just so remarkable. I'm so happy that God put it on my heart to have you come and tell your story, because so far it has been totally extraordinary. I've not had a story quite like this on the healing train, and I'm so happy that there are people out here who can identify not only with the trauma, right? They can't even see as far as you have gotten for their own lives. So you are a vision of hope right now for someone who just found out yesterday that they have a terminal illness and will be spending the next 28 days in the hospital, that they will be spending the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, with physical lapses and things like that might have them going back into the hospital, not ever really being in control of their life during the whole time. But what you have showed us is that if you persevere with a positive mindset and do all of the things that are necessary in order to promote a healthy lifestyle, one day they too can ring that bell that
Ring that
says,
bell.
oh my gosh, you have a new lease on life. And what you have showed us is what you have done with that lease on life. You said, I'm not getting ready to settle for mediocrity. No, not with this new leaf. And thank God for grandma, because grandma said, boy, now you're too smart to be wasting all that talent. Go get your degree. And you said, okay, grandma, and went ahead and did it. And now look, Notre Dame, are you kidding me? After achieving your bachelor's degree in accounting, now you have been not only accepted, but pursued by Notre Dame. I didn't even think Notre Dame had pursued anyone. But the fact that you were pursued by them, and all of the other deadlines were not met, but this was for you. When God is involved in your life, there is nothing that you can do to mess it up. There's nothing you can do to miss your opportunity. And that's what you are showing us today. Wow, what an amazing story. I'm so excited for you and so happy for you. I know today we came off the heels of you being in class all day, and you were still able to come on and give us this wonderful, heartwarming story full of authenticity and vulnerability. Oh my God, you've really touched my heart. And I know you're touching the heart of our audience too. And so, as we continue to move through the process, tell me now how you sustain all of this wonderful stuff that's going on in your life. How do you wake up every day and sustain it all? Because I know it's challenging, but I know you have a positive mindset and that you want to live a good life. And so, how do you sustain it all, Leonde? Please tell us.
Prayer. Um, prayer. I'm forever grateful, forever thankful, and sometimes I forget to pray, but I don't forget to thank God, right? You
Yes.
know, um, um, I'm still eating healthier, right? Like I'm not gonna tell you I'm like all alkaline now, but I don't drink 8 cans of soda.
There you
I
go.
don't I don't eat uh fast food every day, or really ever, actually, really
Okay.
ever. I'm still living a healthier lifestyle. Um, and I'm busy. I've learned to enjoy life. I travel a lot, right? Something I didn't do before. I
Right.
didn't think I could. Like there was always a reason not to, but now you know. Uh, and the determination to finish this degree is big, But I mean, I've had things like this diversity and leadership program, like pulled me through, right?
Yes.
Um, when I was in fear that that the cancer was coming back because in January the stuff wasn't right. But I was in this program, and that was something to look forward to. Our residencies with the program and the people I met in the program. I had that to pull me through.
Yes.
And I was determined to finish that. And I didn't know what was on the other end of that program, but I felt like it would be something, and I want to get to the other end, right?
Right.
Like being here at Notre Dame. It's about grit and determination, because when I tell you, you said I got out of class today. We've been in class since August. This is October, and when I tell you that it's getting real serious, real fast, like it's like they were like petting us along the way, and now they're like, boom. Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? I have got so much stuff to do before our residency next month. I mean, and the coursework is extremely difficult. It just got difficult. It wasn't that bad, but now all of a sudden, the stuff we went over the last 3 days, I'm just like, damn, like, oh my, this is where it's getting real.
Yes. Yes.
So that keeps me going, because that's, it's exciting too, and you feel honored and privileged to be in such a program, and they came after me.
Absolutely. Wow. How exciting is that? So exciting. If there's something that, as we wrap up, I want to know if there's something, words of encouragement, or last words that you would say to someone going through this situation, maybe embarking this journey on their own. What kind of words of encouragement will you give them?
God is good. He's better than good. He's gooder than good. He's better than what we ever could imagine, right? And hold on to him.
Okay.
Hold on to him. And once you make it to the other side, right, you'll never know why you went through what you went through, right? But the most important thing is there's a reason why you made it to the other side.
Yes.
So make the best of it.
Right.
Make the best of it.
Wow, Leonde, thank you so much for those encouraging words. Thank you so much for being able to tell your story, because someone out there, I mean, it inspired me, and I definitely haven't gone through this, but if I were ever to have something befall my life like this, knowing that you made it through will give me the same encouragement and hope, knowing that I can make it through as well. And I love you so much, and thank you so great
Me
from my
too.
heart to be here to talk to our audience, our community. And you guys, we are here with Mr. Leonde Bolden, and he has had an incredible story to tell, an extraordinary story, which is what we do here on the Healing Train. We want to let you know what is possible. And so we bring on these passengers with incredible, extraordinary stories so that you can identify with the trauma. You can adapt a new mindset to get through whatever you're going through. They help us understand that we can achieve greatness after healing, and then how to sustain it is by holding on to God's unchanging hand. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being here, and we will look forward to seeing you again on the next Healing Train. But in the meantime, I know you're manifesting for something, and I want you to continue to manifest. Keep up the faith. If you get discouraged, that's okay. Just don't stop, because that thing that you are hoping for is on its way. It's on its way to you. So don't give up. And so I'm going to ask God to bless you real good, and we'll see you next week on the Healing Train. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.